The fire alarm in apartment 14C had been screaming for 11 minutes before Chen realized no one was coming. He stood in the hallway of the Riverside Towers, smoke beginning to curl under the door, and understood with perfect clarity that everyone had evacuated. Everyone except whoever was inside that apartment. And judging by the small pink sneakers left outside the door, it was a child. Marcus was a chef. 32 years old, divorced, no kids. He'd been heading down the stairs with everyone else when he'd noticed the shoes. Tiny. Maybe size 8. The kind with light-up soles that kids loved. He should have kept walking. Should have told the firefighters when they arrived. Should have done literally anything except what he did next. Marcus kicked open the door. The smoke hit him like a wall, thick, black, choking. The apartment was small, a studio, barely 400 square feet. Through the haze, he could see flames climbing the kitchen wall, feeding on old grease and peeling wallpaper. The heat was already unbearable. "Hello?" Marcus shouted, dropping low where the air was clear. "Anyone here?" A cough. Small, wet, terrified. He found her under the bed. A girl, maybe 7, pressed against the wall with a soaked towel over her face. Smart kid. Someone had taught her what to do in a fire. But teaching and survival were two different things. "Hey," Marcus said, reaching out his hand. "I'm Marcus. We need to leave. Right now." The girl stared at him with enormous dark eyes. She didn't move. "The door's blocked," she whispered. "I tried, it won't open." Marcus looked back. She was right. The fire had spread faster than he'd thought, but the only exit was now a corridor of flames. The window, then. 14th floor. No fire escape on this side of the building. They were trapped. His phone was in his pocket. Marcus pulled it out, hands shaking. No signal. The fire must have taken out the cell tower on the roof. "What's your name?" he asked, keeping his voice steady even as panic clawed at his chest. "Zara." "Okay, Zara. I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" She nodded, just barely. Marcus grabbed the blanket from the bed, soaked it in the bathroom sink, still running, miracle of miracles, and wrapped it around both of them. Then he picked up Zara, felt how light she was, how fragile, and moved toward the window. The glass shattered easily under his elbow. Fresh air rushed in, feeding the fire behind them. Flames roared higher, angrier. They had seconds. Marcus looked down. 14 stories. Nothing but concrete below. Then he saw it. The balcony 1 floor down, slightly offset. Maybe 6 feet away. Maybe 7. Too far to jump with a child in his arms. But the ledge. If he could get them both onto the ledge, if he could lower Zara down far enough. "Zara, I need you to hold on to me, as tight as you can. Don't let go no matter what. Understand?" She wrapped her arms around his neck, her small body trembling. Marcus climbed onto the window ledge. The wind hit him immediately, pulling at his clothes, at Zara. Below, he could hear sirens finally arriving. People were screaming, pointing up at them. But the firefighters were still setting up, still deploying ladders, still too far away. He didn't have time to wait. Marcus lowered himself over the edge, the feet finding the narrow decorative ledge that ran beneath the windows. 6 inches wide. Designed for aesthetics, not for holding a grown man and a child. His fingers gripped the window frame above. Every muscle in his body screamed. "Close your eyes," he told Zara. He began to move sideways, inch by inch, toward the balcony below. The ledge crumbled slightly under his weight. 14 stories. 1 mistake, that's all it would take. Zara was crying now, her face buried in his shoulder. "I want my mom." know, sweetheart. We're going to find her. Just hold on. His foot slipped. For one terrible moment, Marcus felt himself falling. Then his fingers caught, held. He pressed himself flat against the building, gasping. "Don't look down," he whispered to Zara. To himself, 3 more feet. 2. The balcony was close now. So close. But Marcus's strength was failing. His arms burned. His fingers were numb. He wasn't going to make it. Not with both of them. The decision came to him clearly, calmly, the way all impossible decisions did when there was no time to think. "Zara," he said, "I'm going to lower you down onto that balcony. When your feet touch it, you need to let go of me and grab the railing. Can you do that?" "No, I'm scared." "I know, but you're the bravest kid I've ever met. You stayed alive this long. You can do this." Marcus repositioned her, holding her by the wrists now. He lowered her down, his entire body shaking with the effort. Below, the firefighters were shouting something, but he couldn't hear over the blood pounding in his ears. "Now, Zara, grab the railing." She did. Her small hands found the metal, gripped it. Marcus let go, and she dropped the final foot onto the balcony. Safe. She was safe. Marcus's grip on the window ledge failed. He fell. 3 stories down, a firefighter's aerial ladder broke his fall. The impact knocked the air from his lungs, cracked 2 ribs, but he was alive. Hands grabbed him, pulled him onto the ladder, began lowering him to the ground. Through the pain, through the chaos, Marcus heard it. The building's groan, the snap of support beams. The Riverside Towers had been cited for safety violations 3 times in the past year. Landlord had ignored them all. The entire 14th floor collapsed inward. If he'd waited even 30 seconds longer, both he and Zara would have been inside. Marcus woke up in the hospital 18 hours later. His first word was, "Zara." The nurse smiled. "The little girl? She's fine. I'm asking about you, actually. You're a hero." "Where's her mother?" The nurse's smile faded. "Maybe you should rest first. Where's her mother?" A pause. Then, "She didn't make it out. We think she went back inside looking for Zara. They found her on the 8th floor." The world tilted. Marcus closed his eyes, but he could still see it. That moment on the ledge. Those pink sneakers outside the door. A mother who died looking for her daughter while he was saving her. "There's someone here to see you," the nurse said gently. A man entered. 50s, expensive suit, eyes red from crying. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Mr. Chen," he said. "I'm David Park, Zara's grandfather." Marcus tried to sit up. Pain lanced through his ribs. "Don't," David said, moving closer. "Please, you're injured. Zara is with me, safe, because of you." David's voice cracked. "My daughter, Sarah. She was supposed to be at work. She'd left Zara with a babysitter who never showed. Sarah came home early and then..." He stopped, unable to continue. "I'm sorry," Marcus whispered. "Don't be sorry. You gave me my granddaughter. You gave Zara a future. That's..." David pulled out a handkerchief, wiped his eyes. "I don't have words for what that means." Over the next week, the story broke. Local chef saves child from burning building. The news played it on repeat. Marcus's restaurant, the small Korean place where he worked nights, saw a surge of customers. People called him a hero. Strangers hugged him on the street. Marcus hated every second of it. Because at night, when the cameras were gone and the visitors left, then he lay in his hospital bed and thought about Sarah Park. About a mother who'd run into fire looking for her daughter. About pink sneakers and impossible choices. David visited every day. He'd bring Zara once, briefly. She'd climbed onto Marcus's hospital bed, careful of his injuries, and hugged him. "Thank you for saving me," she'd whispered. Marcus couldn't speak. Couldn't tell her that he'd failed to save the person who mattered most. 2 weeks after the fire, Marcus was discharged. David was waiting in the lobby. "I want to give you something," David said, handing him an envelope. Inside was a check. Marcus didn't look at the amount. He handed it back. "I can't accept this. Mr. Chen, I didn't do it for money." "I know. But I also know you're working 2 jobs to make rent. I know your restaurant barely breaks even. I know." David paused. "I know my daughter would want me to help the man who saved her child." Marcus looked at the envelope, at David's pleading eyes, at the future it represented. "There's something else," David said. "I need someone I trust to be in Zara's life. Her grandmother passed years ago. Sarah was an only child. It's just me now, and I'm not young. Zara needs stability. She needs people who care about her." "You want me to, what? Be her guardian?" "God, no. I wouldn't presume. But maybe a friend? Someone who checks in? She asks about you constantly. The therapist says that it might help her process the trauma if she maintains connection with you. You're the one solid thing from that day. The person who didn't leave her." Marcus thought about it. About a 7-year-old girl who'd lost her mother. About how he knew exactly what that felt like. His own mom had died when he was 9. Cancer. Different circumstances, same hole in the world. "Okay," he said. "I'll be her friend." It started small. Marcus would visit David's house once a week. He'd bring ingredients and teach Zara how to cook simple things. Pancakes, fried rice. Her favorite, japchae, the glass noodles sweet and savory. Zara barely spoke at first. Trauma had stolen her voice. But slowly, week by week, she opened up. She'd talk about school, about the nightmares that still came, about missing her mom. Marcus listened. He didn't try to fix it, didn't offer empty platitudes. Just listened and cooked beside her and let her know she wasn't alone. Months passed. Then a year. The fire faded from the news cycle. The Riverside Towers was demolished, and the landlord facing criminal charges. Marcus's life returned to something like normal, except for Thursdays. Thursdays belonged to Zara. On her 8th birthday, Marcus brought her a gift, a chef's knife, child-sized, with her name engraved on the handle. "For when you're ready," he said. Zara hugged him so hard, his still healing ribs ached. "Will you teach me everything?" "Everything I know." David watched from the doorway, eyes wet. Later, after Zara went to bed, he pulled Marcus aside. "I need to tell you something," David said, "about the fire." Marcus waited. Sarah didn't just come home early that day. She came home because she'd been fired. Her company, the one I built, the one she was supposed to inherit, let her go. "Why?" "Because I forced them to." David's voice broke. We'd had a fight. About Zara, about how Sarah was raising her. I thought she was being too soft, too permissive. So I used my position on the board to have her removed. Thought it would teach her a lesson about responsibility. Marcus felt cold. "You got her fired." "Yes. And if I hadn't, she would have been at work. She would have been safe. The babysitter would have shown up because Sarah would have been there to pay her. Zara would have been evacuated with everyone else. My daughter would be alive. You can't know that. But I do. I killed my daughter through pride and stubbornness, and the only reason I haven't." David stopped, steadied himself. "The only reason I'm still here is because Zara needs me. And because you showed me that one person's choice can change everything. You chose to go back, to risk yourself, to save a stranger's child. You chose to be better than I was. They sat in silence. Then Marcus said, "She looks like her, you know. Zara. Every day, more like Sarah." "Yes. And every day, she's going to need someone to remind her that her mother loved her, that what happened wasn't her fault." David nodded, tears streaming now. "Will you help me do that?" "Yeah," Marcus said. "I will." 5 years later, Marcus stood in his restaurant, no longer the small Korean place, but his own establishment, funded partially by David's investment, partially by his own determination. The kitchen staff prepped for dinner service. The dining room glowed with warm light. And behind the counter, chopping vegetables with perfect technique, was Zara. 13 now, tall, confident, alive. "Zara," Marcus called. "Mise en place?" "Almost done, chef." She'd started calling him that last year. Not dad. David was her grandfather, her guardian, her family. But chef. The title felt right. A woman entered the restaurant, early 50s, elegant, purposeful. She approached Marcus directly. "Are you Marcus Chen?" "Yes." "I'm Christine Park, Sarah's cousin. I heard about what you did, how you've been there for Zara." Marcus tensed. He'd met some of Sarah's extended family at the memorial. Most had drifted away after. "I wanted to thank you," Christine continued, "and to apologize. We should have been more present, should have helped David more. But we were grieving and angry, and we made mistakes. You're here now." "Yes, and I'd like to be part of Zara's life. If that's okay, if you'll allow it." Marcus looked at Zara, who'd stopped chopping and was watching. "It's not my decision. It's hers." Zara put down the knife, walked over, studied Christine with those same enormous dark eyes that had stared at Marcus from under a bed 5 years ago. "Did you know my mom?" Zara asked. "I did. We grew up together. She was my best friend." "Tell me about her." Christine smiled through tears. "She was brave, stubborn. She loved you more than anything in the world." "Okay," Zara said. "You can stay." That night, after service, Marcus found Zara sitting on the back steps of the restaurant, looking at the stars. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Do you think she'd be proud of me?" Marcus didn't need to ask who. "I think she'd be amazed. You're cooking in a professional kitchen at 13. You're strong and kind, and you haven't let what happened destroy you. Because you didn't let me. You did the hard part. I just showed up." Zara leaned against him. "I still have nightmares sometimes. About the fire, about being alone." "Me too." "Really?" "Really. I dream about that ledge, about not being strong enough, about..." He stopped. "About failing?" "Yeah. But you didn't fail. You saved me." Marcus looked at this girl who'd become something like a daughter, who'd taught him that family wasn't just blood, that heroism wasn't one moment but 1,000 small choices to show up, to care, to stay. "We saved each other," he said. The stars wheeled overhead. The city hummed around them. Somewhere, a fire alarm went silent. Somewhere, a child slept safely. Somewhere, a mother's love continued through the people left behind. Marcus thought about that day. About pink sneakers and impossible choices. About a woman named Sarah who'd run into fire for her daughter. About David's guilt and redemption. About Christine returning to family she'd abandoned. About how one decision, to stop, to help, to not walk away, could ripple through years and lives and futures. "Come on," Marcus said, standing. "Let's go home." Zara took his hand. They walked together through the night, chef and student, survivor and saved. Proof that even from ash and smoke and terrible loss, something beautiful could grow. The fire had taken much, but it hadn't taken everything. It hadn't taken the choice to be kind, to be brave, to be present when presence mattered most. Marcus Chen had kicked open a door when everyone else had run, and in doing so, he'd found not just a child to save, but a purpose, a family, a reason to believe that despite everything, there was still good in the world. The pink sneakers were in a box now, kept safe by David. A reminder, a memorial, a promise. Never walk past. Never assume someone else will help. Never forget that one person can make all the difference. Marcus had learned that lesson in Flame and Smoke. He'd carry it forever. And so would Zara. And so would every person whose life they touched. The fire alarm had screamed for 11 minutes. But what came after? The years of healing, of growth, of found family and second chances. That was worth every terrifying second. Because sometimes salvation doesn't look like you expect. Sometimes it's a chef who notices a pair of shoes. Sometimes it's a grandfather learning to forgive himself. Sometimes it's a cousin finding her way back to family. Sometimes it's a girl learning to cook, mastering knife skills, building a future from the ashes of her past. The smoke had cleared long ago, but the light remained. And it would keep burning, bright and warm and eternal, in the kitchen where a chef taught a girl not just how to cook, but how to live. How to choose courage. How to choose presence. How to choose love, even when, especially when, the world burned around you. Marcus locked up the restaurant. Zara waited by his car. Above them, the stars shone like promises kept. Tomorrow, they'd return. They'd cook together. They'd remember Sarah, honor her memory through every dish, every lesson, every moment of choosing to stay when leaving would be easier. But tonight, they went home. To David waiting with dinner. To Christine, now a regular visitor. To a family built from tragedy and choice and the stubborn insistence that good could triumph over grief. The fire alarm was silent. The door was open. And the future, uncertain but hopeful, stretched ahead like an invitation. Marcus accepted it. For Zara. For Sarah. For himself. And somewhere in the smoke and memory, a mother smiled. Her daughter was safe. Her father was healed. And the stranger who'd given everything had found something worth living for. The fire had ended, but the story was just beginning.